Typically, a pivot starts with what belief do we have about our industry that's different than everyone else?
And the question becomes, how do you pivot without burning out and without breaking everything? So by the end of this video, you're going to know why having a pivot plan is important, how we're actually going to pivot, and what parts are key and what you need to get right.
So we'll tell you what the challenges are, how we're handling them, and what you should pay most attention to.
So let's start with the challenges. And I would say the first one we should talk about is the really uncomfortable one, which is Runway.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable, but it's also beautiful.
I believe you use that to describe other things, Tom. All right. So what are your thoughts on Runway, Tom?
Well, a lot of it's going to come down to your upbringing and your comfort level, how much you need, how much you feel safe with.
Yep.
You know, I think you gave me this little talk of, people that burning through the runway are starting to have like real...
Yeah. We can start there.
Right.
Yeah. So what I said to Tom was this. Most business people that I've seen, what happens is they quit their job and start a business and they start burning through their runway. And I guess we should probably define runway if you don't know what it is. Runway is basically the cash or assets you can easily liquidate into cash to fund your day-to-day living expenses while you build your business, right? And it's measured in months. So you take how much money you have, divide that by how much you spend a month, and that's your runway. 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is, right? And don't forget that you can probably halve that number because there will be business expenses along the way that you didn't account for as well. And runway is uncomfortable because in modern society, people are uncomfortable talking about money. It's seen as impolite or what have you, but it is an important, even though awkward concept. And what I said to Tom was a lot of people I see when they start burning down their runway, it changes the way that they think and it changes their ability to make good business decisions because they're no longer making optimal business decisions that are good for the company and that will lead to future growth. They're making decisions out of scarcity because there's no money coming in. All they see is a number in their bank account going down every single month. I know you have a different take on this. So.
Well, I only have a different take because of my experience, because I've done this 9 times already, right? So to me, it's just like, okay, if I have a shorter runway, how much more insanity do I welcome into my life? Because I want to make it happen. I've always made it happen. It's just how hard am I going to push to get it done, right? Now, my runway is very healthy, but what I've done to invite a little more insanity is I put much less into one account and I'm trying to ignore the other one and think this is the runway.
So you actually use a shorter runway as a motivational driver.
Yeah. Because if I have a long runway, I know it's going to happen, but I will put things off and go a little too comfortable.
Relax a bit more.
I will relax too much.
Yeah.
And when you start new things, you cannot relax. There's no real balance when you start things.
I have a good friend who's made, I don't know, probably mid 9 figures independently on his own. And he's like, when you build a business, the only thing that matters is obsession.
That's it.
Insanity.
Yeah. And that's just what I always think about. How much insanity do I want to invite in my life? If you have a 5-year runway, you're pretty set. You're going to chill. But you're also probably going to miss the opportunity.
Correct. Because you're not moving fast enough.
You're not moving fast enough. Yeah. So for some people, if you have a short runway, well, there you go. Insanity is already attached.
You got to make it work. Yeah.
But if you do have a lot of cash, and I've seen people like this coming to me trying to start new businesses. Oh, I got 8 million runway. I was like, you're not going to make it. You're going to live off the 8 million, but you're not going to make it starting a new business. And they've never done it. I've never seen one with that kind of thing, like, behind them.
Well,
do it.
I mean, to be fair, I'm pretty sure at 8 million, starting a new business is actually not the optimal move. Learning about how to manage your money is probably better at that point.
Yeah, but most of us just keep doing what we've done before. And that's what happens with people who, I sold a business, I got 5 to 8 million, and now I want to start a new one. That's what typically I see.
That could be an episode about why you want to do that. But
that's true. Yeah. Yeah. But I think you just got to figure it out for yourself. Like what experience you have, right? So how strong you're during this process, and then just how much insanity you want to welcome.
And also how you will take it, right? So are you one of the, I would say, typical people where if you see a balance that dwindles every month, it does bad things to your psychology and puts you in a state of scarcity? Or are you one of those people like Tom when you see it run down every month, you invite more insanity to your life.
Yeah, just push more. We got to make this happen even more.
Yep.
But yeah.
One of those two. Yeah.
Yeah. So the next one, current biz, if you have one.
Right. So this links into Runway, which is if you have a current biz, can you restructure your business to help extend your runway, or do you need to kill it off for new things to grow?
I typically kill it off. Typically,
The
unless I
bridges
can.
and the boats.
Yeah. Saying I burn my bridges and my balls got ridges.
It's a Chicago saying. Like,
it's a New York saying, but yeah. I mean, typically, right? Because like I don't like being 1 foot in and 1 foot out in anything. Like if I decide on the new thing, then the old thing is just,
go all in, right?
I blow it up. Yeah. Typically. Yeah. This time is different because for some reason I came up with an idea where I can burn the business without burning the business by changing the offers up.
It'll never 100% be the same as burning the business, but if it can be done, why not?
Yeah, if possible, I don't know. Let's just say this pivot, I'm trying something new, which I've never done before.
And you do know what the fallback is already, which is to burn it completely and go all in. So.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, I came up with the new offer because I knew it's a good offer. And it takes my work down by like 80%, and I don't need a team for it. And I had a client who I showed the old offer to, and she had a few objections. I was like, cool, let me show you the new offer. And she's like, oh, this sounds good. I was like, this is interesting. I knew it's a product market fit, but let's see how well. So this time around, possibly, I'll limp the other one along because it doesn't take much time, but still going pretty much 99% in on the new thing.
Yep. And I would say there's probably a similar situation that people listening to this are going to be in, which is they're at a full-time or a part-time or a freelance job. And you have a question of, do you want to stop that and go all in on your business and pivot? Or do you want to kind of maintain and limp that along while doing the pivot? And it really comes down to, well, how much cash do you have in the bank? What's your runway, right? And we already told you how to figure that out. And how much time do you think it's going to take? So maintaining your current business or scaling it back is only going to be, 5 hours, 10 hours a week? It's like Arnold said, man, just think faster.
Think in reps. How do I get my 10,000 reps in quicker?
Yep.
But personally, for me, I find the job is the most dangerous part. It's going to go against your business. For me. I don't know, maybe for some people don't. But I've seen...
It depends on the arrangement, I think, of the job.
It does.
Yeah.
But I got this friend, right? He's been talking about doing YouTube stuff and affiliate for about 1.5 years now, maybe longer. He's got a comfortable job, sits at his desk. For a while, he was trading Tesla for hours, for months. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to go all in on this. It's been 8 months of him sitting around. I don't know what he's doing. And there's like 3 videos out. And I think this is that comfort part. There's no reason really to, like, he's making enough cash. He's comfortable.
It's more uncomfortable to build the business than to keep doing what he is.
Way more, right? Because there is no runway issue. There is no I need to make this happen issue. So the second there's something that like you got to lean into and it's uncomfortable, let me watch a couple more videos to see how to lean into it first.
Yeah. So there's a balance that needs to be struck here, which is if you need to light a fire under your ass to get yourself to do something, then maybe relying on Runway is a good thing. But if you're sufficiently motivated from other things, maybe you have dependents, spouse, kids relying on you, then maybe you can do it. Maybe you just work a little harder, maintain your current cash flow and job or business, and build this thing on the side.
So let's talk about planning.
Or rather flip it around, which is, I guess, part of planning, which is your job becomes your side hustle, and this becomes your main thing.
That's much better. But you're much more of a planner than me, so maybe you should address the planning more.
Sure. I mean, we're talking about time here, right? Like time management.
Yeah.
So, okay. Think about how many hours you have in a week, or more practically in a day, right? So let's say you wake up at 6, you get ready, you commute or get to your desk at 7, 8, whatever it is. You work your 8 hours, got some time in the evening, have dinner, spend it with the family, and you got a couple hours spare, right? And you're like, where am I going to pivot? And this is what Tom and I were talking about in terms of, should you burn your current business or should you try to maintain it while pivoting as well? Right. And everyone's circumstances are going to be a little different depending on what your setup is. So if you're a full-time job where you're on site, you have to commute. You have no real choice. You got to show up, you got to do that. And then in the evening hours, when you would normally be watching Netflix or YouTube or chilling out and playing video games or whatever, you have to work on your pivot. Right? That's kind of like the Gary Vee version of planning. But he's like, this is the best time in the history of time to start a side hustle because you can do it from the comfort of your home with a computer and an internet connection, right? So if that's your situation, that's just what you got to do. Now, a lot of people watching this are not going to be in that situation. They're going to be freelancers, influencers, indie hackers, developers, or people who run agencies or services who have a lot of control over their schedule, right? Which means you get to decide when you want to work on client work or whatever it is that you do, and when you get to work on this business, which is your pivot. And in that case, you do what Tom and I just said. You make this your main thing. It's the most important thing. It goes first. It goes into your best focus time of the day, be that morning or night. And then you try to figure out the other stuff and cram it into 1, 2, at most 3 hours in a day somewhere to maintain it, but not to grow it.
And I think most 8-hour jobs can be crammed into 2 hours. Let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah.
Most.
So if you're remote working, you can do that. If you're required to sit in an office, tough luck.
Depends how close the boss is watching.
That too.
You know what I mean? Like, it depends.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking of a typical office setting that I've worked in, and usually there's enough going on that there'll be enough nonsense to fill up the 8 hours, even if it's not actual real work.
Well, nonsense, right? Yeah. They have meetings and
Yeah. That's planning. It's what strategy, Tom.
Well, it's the hardest thing with each pivot, right? This is 2025. A lot of people are thinking of pivots, and it's just where to go, what to do next. And that's why in the beginning, it's usually like, what do you believe about your industry that other people don't? You got to find your noise space. Like, what is the opportunity? You know, like with the business that I did not kill off, I just kept thinking, well, what can I offer that's going to take the least amount of space? And it's like giving the 90% result for my clients. It took about 3 weeks of thinking, but then I woke up like, okay, I got it. But you got to come up with these like constraints and things like what are the criteria for a pivot? Because, a lot of pivots are like, well, this doesn't work. I do this now, and some developers I've spoken here, it's like, well, I got a Runway, like about like a year and a half. I'm working on this thing nobody wants and nobody cares about, and I will never sell. And they actually say this to me, like straight face. So I figure something that people want. And I was like, how is that going to happen? Like, there's no intention that out. The intention is to code nonsense as long as you can. That's what it feels like.
And that's kind of mistaking action for, I guess, strategic action, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I always like to do some napkin strategy first. I come up with the actual strategy.
Tell me about napkin strategy.
Napkin strategy is just list out the 5 things you want out of this business and maybe the 5 things that you hate doing now. And anything you come up with has got to meet those. It's not a lot, but just a few things, right? Like if you don't want to manage people, okay, well then I need to either have really good automation, have partners that don't need to be managed, or whatever. You can come up with this, right?
Yeah.
If I don't like making sales calls, well, B2C doesn't need sales calls. Or I can have maybe, you just come up with these things, right? Like if I hate my current business model,
then that's on the list of things you don't want.
Because I see a lot of people not really consider that part. It's like a freelancer moving to a service business. And I'm like, oh.
Same business model.
You're about to find out a lot more fun, Or a coach moving to courses only. And I'm like, oh, you're going to have some interesting things along the way as well. Like just not considering that part. Like, so, a business model, I think that should be the first thing on top of your napkin. Like, what do I want this to look like? Because a lot of the time you will create easy money that kind of backs you into a corner.
Yes.
Right.
All right. What about moats? What about how to handle the things that you don't know?
Yeah, it goes back to that thing we talked in the other episode, the gap and the gain. That's how I look at moats as well. So the gap is just the thing you got to figure out to get the outcome you want, right? But you often need to label it first. So we can talk a little bit about the coding thing that we're doing now to figure out how to, build things.
Sure.
And a lot of things in front of us, right? We were trying to learn JavaScript and TypeScript and all this stuff, right? And the first thing I'm starting to look at these things, because you're giving me these lists of things to learn. And I'm like, okay, JavaScript, I get it. Then I look at TypeScript. I'm like, that is not a moat. That is not something we need to spend almost any time on. And then you looked at it and it was like, what? Skim through one page of notes, move on, right?
Yeah, I literally skimmed through a book in about an hour.
Yeah. So you need to label the moats first. So you need Aaron's list, which is going to be, like pretty extensive. And then you just need to see like which one of these is a moat. Because in my mind, I always keep thinking, okay, well, I've done the gap and the gain many, many times in my life, many times. How do I do this in the fastest way possible while still preserving, like I need to still learn what I need to learn?
Yeah.
Right. So I like to kill off as many moats along the way as I can because it's stuff that's not really necessary. And moats are the easiest way to procrastinate. There's no better way. And I think, what is it called? Productive procrastination? Is that what they call it? So basically, you keep looking for more things that you need to learn before you just do the thing.
Actually do the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, how do I actually do the thing first? And then often, you do have to get some knowledge before, because you'll start doing the thing and be like, okay, step one, I don't know what to do. That's a little too early.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that like there's kind of two types of people. There are people who don't plan and they just go ahead and execute. And what they need to do is they need to write that list of the gaps, right?
Initially, yeah.
And then there are people who are great at making lists, but not great at executing. And what they need to do is have the list, but then just start executing and not think too much about it. And then along the way, you figure out which of those gaps you actually need to cross, which can be shortcutted and which you can ignore completely. So it just depends on your personality type and figuring out which one you are and how to overcome your weakness in terms of execution.
And I think that really connects with the mindset, which is, again, I always bring back to the gap and gain. It's just, if you haven't done something before, you don't know what's in front of you. A lot of uncertainty, fear. But if you write down all the things you have accomplished before and you realize like, oh, there's been like 18 times in my life I've had the same situation. I did not know if it's going to happen. I figured it out and it did. It makes it just easier mentally to tackle the next thing.
Yeah. So let's talk about action and feedback too, because this kind of all goes together, right? So, like I said, if you're someone who's oriented more towards planning, you need to take more action. If you're someone who's oriented more towards action, you need to take a step back and plan more. And I think the important thing here is there's a concept called agile iterations. Agile is a whole project management philosophy, but basically it comes down to this. The faster you can go through your gap and gain and feedback loop, the faster you will learn and progress and therefore pivot.
Get more reps in.
Get more reps in.
Except you need to learn from the reps.
Well, you need to know what you're going to lift, right? But you still need to lift.
Well, first, because you've seen that person in the gym, right? Been there for like 2 years, still looks the same, and still lifts the same bad way, right? So there's got to be some little
So there needs to be some planning and programming that goes into it. But once you have that, you just need to execute and not think too much about going back to planning. You need to not procrastinate by doing things that keep you busy but not productive, right?
Okay.
Like, let's go back to the programming thing, Tom. Like, you and I could have sat here and be like, okay, to really understand this, we need to learn JavaScript, then TypeScript, then Swift, and I don't even know what Android apps are written in Kotlin. And then we need to learn, we should learn frameworks that do everything. We should learn Flutter and then React Native. And
React
then
Native. Yeah.
What else is there to learn? Right. And we could literally spend the next 2 years doing all of this. And all that would do is equip us to maybe apply for a low-level job at a tech company.
Maybe.
There would not be a pivot there.
It's not. And then when you start looking at this, it's like, well, if AI can handle a lot of the syntax, we need to think like senior developers more than be the ones doing the syntax.
Right. So I do want to make a point here. So let's go back to the TypeScript thing. So first we thought, okay, we're going to go down, let's build apps in React Native. We decided not to do that, but I will go into that in a little bit. And I was like, everyone says that TypeScript is way better than JavaScript, right? And what we ended up having was like a one-page summary, which is like, here are the syntax changes from JavaScript to TypeScript. Now, if you're a TypeScript developer, I know that there's probably a lot more to it if you're writing production code for companies, right? But for two guys building simple B2B and B2C apps, we don't really need to know that.
We don't.
right? Marketing the app, architecting the app, making sure that it works, make sure it's got product market fit is 100 times more important than learning TypeScript syntax, which could easily be done using any of the coding AIs out there.
Easily. Because I've done it. I just coded something up yesterday. I showed Aaron. It was in TypeScript.
Now, officially a TypeScript developer, Tom.
I am a good delegator and debugger of TypeScript code now. That's all I am.
All right.
Now let's move on. The news roundup. Three key things we found this week.
Yeah, 3 interesting things we found. The first is OpenAI published a study with Duke and Harvard universities that summarized how people use ChatGPT. And it's like, I think like 60 of it is general information searches. People are basically using ChatGPT sort of Google. And what's interesting is only 4% are actually using it for coding. 4%. Yeah.
That's interesting, huh?
Which is crazy, right? Because if you're in the AI circle, people just talk about coding nonstop. But you need to understand that using AI for coding is very much still on the bleeding edge, and you're in a minority. Still time. There's still time to take advantage of it, even in 2025.
Yeah, let me put this in perspective. Went to an official Cursor meetup. So this means 100-something people who knew what Cursor is and were interested in Cursor, right? Cursor has a workshop, and they're about to show you the workflow of Cursor up in the other floor. Okay. 30 minutes after it starts, because I was just chatting with a buddy downstairs, someone I know runs down. He's like, "This sucks. I'm getting out of here." And I was like, "Well, what?" I was like, "What happened up there?" He's like, "We've just spent 20 minutes showing people how to install Cursor." That's where we're at with AI, right? So your coworkers, if you have them, telling you they do all this stuff with AI, they're probably going on Google and being like, "How many pounds in a pizza?" And AI answers it. Or the second piece of the news, what are potato chips made out of? So we found that Lay's, the company, is doing rebranding. They said major rebranding because 42% of their customers don't know what the chips are made out of.
And these are the people buying your stuff.
These are people looking at your sales pages. These are the people that you're scared talking to about your product. And they're trying to figure out potatoes go into chips.
The third piece of interesting news we found this week was how much do influencers actually make? So I'll put a chart up here on the screen. But basically, and I believe this is based on US data, people under 100,000 followers, right, which on Instagram is actually quite a lot still, make an average $240 a month, which is what, Tom, 20 tacos in the US maybe?
I'm just thinking you can probably find an affiliate hosting program that will pay you about that after you get 5 customers or something.
Oh yeah, but B2B, they said it's 1,000 for that follower account. So that's probably your hosting program there.
But yeah, it's true. $240, that's 3 crappy taco meals in most of the US.
Okay. In the 100 to 1 million range, so like the mid-influencer range, B2C is what? Say 1,150 and B2B is 9,500.
So
okay,
some rounding errors. You got $1,000 for someone doing B2C with almost 1 million followers or 10K.
Yeah.
Going B2B.
Now, over a million. Yeah. 5,000 for B2C, 30,000 for B2B. That kind of makes more sense. That's where you start to get to, I can afford to live in a city kind of levels.
It does. But then now, when you think of the business model we keep talking about.
I think of a million followers, that's a lot of people.
It is. That's insane. But those influencers typically know what they're doing a little bit.
Yeah.
Even if
otherwise, it wouldn't grow into that number.
Yeah. But now think, you have an app you developed that's not selling to anyone. There's an influencer that's got 100,000 followers, possibly in your niche, making $250 per month. I don't think there's much selling that needs to be done to show that this is a much better way.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the top people, right? But yeah. On the lowest levels.
Yeah.
Or even if you have to pay up front, it's like, well,
it's
they're making $250 per month. So
yeah, $50 increases their income by 20% already.
And you can be like, oh, okay, so you put out 50 videos this month and you made $250?
Yeah.
I mean,
put out 1 and get another 50.
Yeah. Well, put out 10, I'll give you 200. You just got 1/3 of your month covered. Look at you.
Yep. Yeah. So, I know some people watching this are going to be like, oh, but I heard about. So there's 2 examples that come to mind here. I saw one screenshot from a Twitch streamer, $50,000 a day simply through advertising. You got to understand that person is an outlier, right? You see in your that because of the number is ridiculous and because that person is an outlier. They're an exception to the rule. Same thing here in Thailand. I don't know if you've seen this, Tom. There's a big one about there's a lady who sells live commerce, which is big in Asia. Basically, they get on a TikTok live stream and they sell product. Like buy this lipstick, buy this handbag, buy this whatever. And this lady, Jenny, she did about $30,000 in 5 minutes of selling on a recent stream. And then she partnered up with a mega celebrity and I did like, I think it was like over 100,000 in like 2 or 3 minutes. And there's a big debate going on being like, why am I working my crappy 9-hour-a-day office job, to not even make that in a year when she can do it in 5 minutes? Yeah. So these people are outliers. Like, I know the human tendency is to believe that, hey, if this streamer can do 50,000 a day, if I start streaming, I'm going to be that too. We want to think that we're the lucky, fortunate ones, right? But they're an outlier. They are literally newsworthy outlier. And for every single one of these, there are probably 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 other people who are trying, who are making that $250 a month. So if you're an influencer, you kind of already know this. You kind of know what the reality is. If you're not an influencer, if you're a developer or an investor or a business person who wants to work with influencers, hopefully this data gives you some insight into exactly how that world works and what the opportunity there is for some smart partnerships.
It's like you can compete with someone like Elon Musk. Yeah, he's making millions in 1 second. So what?
Yeah, just because you start a business doesn't mean you're going to be Elon Musk.
And then when you look at your competition, the startups, they just make up numbers now. I've even seen service providers, man. They will make like $15,000 in a day. That's the only payment they've made in the whole year, and they already put the annual recurring based on that. I've seen, it's the socials. You can't.
Yeah, you can't really trust what you see on there
at all. Yeah.
All right, let's do a quick update. What have we been up to, Tom?
Well, we were able to skip TypeScript in the coding learning.
That's nice. And yeah, so Tom and I started a little project to basically increase our development skills. So we both know a little bit of Ruby, a little bit of Rails, which we learnt, and we're trying to extend that into mobile applications as well.
So we found the new framework. Well, you found it. But
yeah. So there's a new framework native, which is built off Ruby and Rails, which we think is going to be a better fit for us for developing apps than trying to learn something new like React Native or Flutter.
I actually mentioned this to a couple of Rails people I know, and they're like, "Oh man, tell me how it is." Hearing great things. So we might be.
It's very, very new. So the technical skills, we're out the process to record these videos, to get them running properly, to get the quality up, to edit them properly out and faster. And while we're here, we can use AI automation to speed that all up.
I think we should tell people, because we spoke about pivoting a lot, and the big moat we find in YouTube that we think is a moat is getting the first 150 episodes up. So we keep thinking, how do we get past that with quality, with improvement, as quickly as we can?
Yeah. And the actual simple answer is just to turn on the camera, hit record.
Sort of.
I'm simplifying it, but...
Yeah, because that's typically what I would do. But you're making sure that we learn from every iteration much more than... Yeah.
So, record a lot of episodes, watch them, edit them, refine them between, tighten up your planning and scripts beforehand, tighten up the editing process, and just make sure by the time we hit episode 100, 150, that these are absolutely banger episodes.
Yeah, that's the whole goal, right? How do we get to that part we want to with the biggest improvement we can get?
Yeah, and as the planning person, we'll say that basically I'm just forcing myself to record more. So I think it's so next week I'm flying to Japan to get married, and that's like 4 days away, 5 days away. I'll probably record 6 episodes in that time.
And that's sometimes good having someone like me that makes Aaron uncomfortable and pushes.
Thank you, Tom. I really appreciate your friendship.
Actually, the wife said after 2 months with you, he's gonna have some gray hairs.
So the other personal life update that Tom is going to be a father very soon.
So
Tom, the day you're going to go to the hospital, make sure you're there, and then you're going to come back and we're going to record episodes, right?
I don't know about that day.
Come on, Tom, 150 episodes.
150 episodes. I'll probably get back to it 3 days later. We do 4, but no, that's exciting. It's going to be something new.
All right. So please subscribe to for more updates if you want to follow our pivot. And I believe you want to leave the viewers with a question, Tom.
What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail?
Exit only, of course.
Exit only.
All right. Thanks. See you next time.